Alrighty. So today we're going to be to work on the Twitch app. But before I do that, we have the results from the actual private alpha, the small alpha testing that we've done, which has been pretty exciting. Overall, it was actually really good. Overall, it worked out really well. So, I've anonymized the document so that the people that have joined, you know, for the sake of the feedback, I didn't want to add anybody's names because I don't know their permission to. So what I was scared of, or the hypothesis that I had, was that the viewer game command was actually quite scary. Like, people weren't gonna remember it, and so like the first things when the streamer, when some of the streamers tested out the Twitch bots, they just typed in viewer game, like !VG, and then the in-game name, which was interesting to see. Besides that, we run into some beta issues, like maybe you should be able to clear out the queue completely because maybe people are just testing shit out. Maybe some manual moderation options, you know, like kicking somebody. But so far the testing went out super well. Like, there wasn't really a need for any of these big features. Even though they're easy to build, I don't think there was any like need for it, you know. Like the streamer was able to solve the problems on the fly, and just by the kind heartedness of the viewers, the streamer just asked, hey, could you perhaps like leave the queue, you know, stuff like that. So you know, in prod, and for the bulk of the people, I'm not sure if that, like, if that's gonna work, especially on Twitch, you know, like people are just trolls. But for the sake of the alpha, I think it worked out really well. Some of the stuff that, some of the other problems that we found was that a viewer cannot join the viewer game, even though she was picked. So what this basically means is that if the viewer was picked, but he wasn't able to join because of like personal issues, or he didn't have time at the time like that he was in the queue for, the streamer just solves it by just leaving the player for later and let them join in. So that was actually interesting to see. So like how they would use it, it's just like a viewer would VG like join, right? And they would join the queue, and then at the like some time passes, and then the streamer would do VG pick, and then 4 people, because it was League of Legends, so you need 5 people, so including the streamer, you would just pick 4 out of the queue, pick 4. So she would pick, like, the streamer would pick 4, and it was all good. And then the person said, hey, streamer, I cannot join right now. Maybe later. And then the streamer is like, okay, no problem. VG pick 1. So the streamer just picks up another one off the queue, and then just in your mind, you just remember, like, so like this is more like in your head. It's like, okay, don't forget player X wants to join later. So then the idea was of the streamer is that, like, I'll just play my games, you know, like I'll just play a couple games here, no problem. And then I'll just, when the viewer comes back, I'll just do a viewer game pick 3 instead of 4, and still have 5 players. So I thought it was very, like, I didn't really think of that, like solving these tiny issues, but the streamers were able to like circumvent the problems by themselves. Here, yeah, so there was a problem here where the viewer game bot wasn't a mod, and so my message, like the viewer games bot's message was sent too soon, so the player joined, but he didn't actually know he joined, so that was a problem. if people were just picked, they should be able to join after the game finished. They should only be able to join after the game finished. So yeah, this was feedback. So if you added someone to the viewer game, so this is what I observed, is like people viewer game join and they do like a bunch of people do that, like blah 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 blah. Queue is filled, streamer picks, VG pick, and then the moment they're picked, they're out of the queue. So the moment they're in the lobby and in the game, they could immediately do viewer game join again, and then they join back into the queue. So like during the game, during the viewer game, there wasn't actually anybody able to really like join in before the people that are currently playing. So what the streamer really asked for here is like, how can we make sure that the current players are not able to join the game until the game ends? So that's a tough problem for us because we don't really have a state of like these players are playing right now and these like players are and whenever the game is finished. We don't have this notion, you know, like we don't know when the game is. We don't even know what game they play. Sup WestJet, how's it going? So that was interesting. That was an interesting problem that we need to figure out how to solve. And I'm also not 100% sure whether other streamers will run into this. This was only one streamer that ran into this. So I think before we build a solution for this, we probably need to figure out if more people have this. So yeah. There was some problems with the wording that I fixed. So I made some changes. Copy here. So before, if you did the queue command, it would say the next players to join are, instead of the next 5 players in queue. So the queue would not actually tell you that I'm only showing the top 5, and also the messaging is really similar to the pick command messaging. So if you just use pick and then somebody used queue, you'll be like a little bit confused, like who are the players that are actually joining? So the messaging was fixed. We solved that issue. Easy peasy. So what the fuck is going on? So we're building a Twitch bot, a Twitch chat bot in order for streamers to manage viewer games. And we just did an alpha test for a couple streamers. And this is one streamer's feedback, or like one streamer's bugs and features and suggestions and things that I've observed. And so we're just going through that right now before we actually get into the coding. Yeah, so there was another bug that I fixed, which was add a message when a player is already in queue. So what I assumed was you can just do exclamation mark join a couple times. Can't you disable the current users picked? So the problem with that is it will stop kind of this scenario. But welcome, Mab. I hope Mab Dulai. Hope I pronounced that correctly. So the problem with that is that if, let's say, like by the pick command, I decide who is actually in the game currently. That would mean like, so you have a queue, and a queue is just a bunch of people that are like listed like this, and you just pick a bunch of people out of it, right? And then you have like the picked players or current players that are currently playing, which is also a list of people. If the streamer got into this scenario where I've picked 4, one person is not able to join, and I pick 1, how does the system know that it's just appending one and not changing this whole list to be like only one player is currently playing? So just by the pick command, the VG pick command, you wouldn't really necessarily know that you're doing this, unless we make another command, which would be like add 1, like add 1 player, and then it wouldn't replace the current people playing. And then when you do VG pick again, it would wipe the list and take the next 4. So it would just take like a user 1, user 2. But that's something to think about. That's something to think about. 5, 4, 3. So like, let's say I play a game where like Apex, right? You pick 2 people. 2 people. So 2 people are picked in Apex. So 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 get lost. Then turns out that user 2 cannot play right now. So it's like, okay, the streamer uses VG pick 1 because I just want to pick 1 from the list. So user 2. So if I just do this and I decide pick players off this would just be this, right? So I pick user 3 out of the queue, and then the current players are kind of fucked because it doesn't really represent really who is in the queue. So now player like user 1 could in theory do a video game join again, and then we have the same problem. It does circumvent most of the issues, but it won't solve everything. So I think that maybe the right thing to do is just to leave it as is for now. See if other streamers are running into this. What's up, Nigel? And otherwise, maybe it would be like video game ads. But I think like that would require streamers to understand the notion of who is currently picked and then who is in, like the difference between a queue and the picked players, which I think they already have because they're literally inviting the people. But maybe that notion becomes more of a thing when we're actually building a web UI or something. It's kind of edge case. Yeah, true. So that's why I think you're right. It might be like edge case that the viewer picks like 1, you know? Most of the times it should just like the streamer would just fill up the game. But yeah, we'll see. It's like nice. It's an interesting problem that you don't find unless you put the product out in the wild and try shit out, you know? Yeah, so we had a problem with joining the queue twice. So we fixed that as well. So if before, what it would do is it would just say name has joined. So like if I do this, right? So let's say the queue is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I do VG join, so I become the 6th player, right? Sixth person in the queue. If I were to do video game join again, so it would say something like Jizra Cats joined the queue 6 out of 6. Something like that. That's what it says. And if I were to join again, it would still say 6 out of 6. And in some cases, it would, like in 6 out of 6 is kind of fine. It would still be kind of confusing because you'd be like, I just joined. Like, why the fuck is it putting me in the queue again? Like, hello? But now if like, let's say there's 3 people that are in the next game. So this becomes like 1, 2, 3. And then other people join. So like 4, 5, 6. And I do viewer game join then. It would actually say, which is very, very interesting. I didn't really come across that case. It would just say 3 out of 6. So you joined the queue in the middle. Because it doesn't actually put you like back in the queue. It would just like it just takes your position, really. So like people would just be like, what the fuck? I was already in the queue. Like, why the fuck are you putting me in the middle? Like, what the fuck is happening there? So we fixed that. So now it says Boyd is already, like, Bob Ross is already in the queue. So instead of it saying this, it says like Jizra Cats is already in the queue, which is perfect because I was already in the queue. So we bug smashed that, which is awesome. And yeah, this was a messaging issue as well. So the queue is only showing 5, and everybody was like, well, but I just joined and I'm not in the queue. Like, what's going on? And like they were like position 8, for example. They joined as like the 8th person in queue. And then there would be like VGQ, and then it would only see like 1, 2, 5. And they were like, hey, what the fuck? I'm in position 8. Like, where am I? I'm not in the queue. I don't see myself in the queue. So we fixed that with the other bug fixed as well. Queue the wording, so it now says the next 5 players in queue are. Nice. What's up, Darkpole? Because that's how queues work, right? Yeah, you just inject yourself in the middle. Yeah, another interesting thing with tmi.js actually is the fact that capitalization, actually that's not a tmi.js issue, that's just my error. So if people were to do viewer game, because like the streamer would say VG join, right? That's like what the streamer would say, because like nobody understands the system yet. No, it's not like a normal thing. This is like a new app, like a new Twitch bot. So the streamer would say like, "Hey everybody, we have a new like we have a new Twitch app that we're gonna introduce, and I want you guys to test. So if anybody wants to join our viewer game, you just do !VG join." So VG is not small letter VG, it's like capitals. So like the first people were actually like writing VG in caps join, and it would not do anything. Which is a stupid mistake. So I fixed that in a very, well, nasty way really. It's not the most pretty way. Just too lowercase. Too lowercase the message. So that solved the problem, you know. I needed to hotfix in the moment because the alpha was going on. So like I needed to fix that. So like I didn't do anything crazy. I just made sure that it was test covered so that we can refactor after. Then there was another problem because in Twitch, you can try it yourself. I'll boot up the app actually. I'll boot up the app. Yarn workspace, viewer games, TwitchBot, start. If you guys type something like this, viewer game join with a lot of spaces here, like this, try it out. Try it out. Or add like just type a message and add a lot of spaces and then another word. Like type something, then a shit ton of spaces and then another word. You can see that on Twitch, you don't actually see the spaces because the spaces get like removed when you view it on Twitch. But in the IRC, the spaces are definitely there. So I didn't know what was going on, because what I see in like the streamers test, like during the test, what I see streamers do is like people are typing VG join. Oh, you see the spaces on mobile. Interesting. Okay. So what I see in my Twitch window in the Twitch chat, I see like, wait, they're typing VG join. Like, what the fuck is happening? Why are they not joining? And so turns out on IRC those spaces are added and they're not stripped. So, but on mobile they're not. So in mobile that's actually interesting. So you can add a lot of spaces on mobile. So I needed to fix that too. So I did another nasty one, which is this one. This one's even more nasty. So I wrote a command helper that is doing all the magic. So it splits the command into spaces. And then it takes the message and it trims it on the left side to cover a test case, a specific one, which is if you put viewer game with a lot of spaces in front. I don't know why I would do that, but you can. Nothing stops you. It trims that off first. And then get the trimmed message, which is this one. Oh, and then we trim it, left it again. Why am I doing that? Message trim left, and then I trim left it again. Wait, why am I doing that? Maybe that's left over. Yeah, I don't think this is supposed to be here. Anyways, I think this is supposed to be just trimmed message. Anyways, we're gonna refactor this anyways. And then, so we check if that one starts with the prefix, which is VG. And if that's not the case, then we know this command is not, you know, like matching. And then the remainder of the message, so anything that comes after the prefix, so VG, trim that as well. and then check if it starts with the command name, and then we know that it's working. Very nasty way. If you have a more elegant way, let me know. What's up, Katie, by the way? If you have a more elegant way, let me know. The nice thing is, though, is I don't necessarily have to make it more, like, prettier, because I have a test covered. So if I ever want to come up with something and I want to spend the time to make it better, then I can, because all the tests are covering this. So it's covering, like, the cases where I had spaces in front, spaces in the middle, when I don't finish the word, when I, like, there was even an edge case where if you put no space, it would work. So now this is all covered. That's excellent. So that's cool. So we got that covered as well. So we fixed a lot of bugs here, which is awesome. And Katie is also a streamer, if you guys don't know. So please, if you guys haven't checked Katie out, please go check out Katie. Do you replace any multiple white spaces with a single white space? Maybe, yeah. I think you can. That would probably be the best way. Because then it's consistent with, like, what you see on the Twitch chat, right? At the moment, when I needed to get this fixed, because, like, the people were streaming, that was not working. So what I want to do today is I want to consider creating VG open and VG closed, so that you can open the queue and close the queue. So, like, let's say you're doing viewer games for only 2 hours, and then you just want to, you know, play something else, then you can close it so that other people can't join, and maybe the people that are still in queue can carry over to the next, like, the next day or the next stream, whatever the streamer wants to do. But also, if, like, the streamer is ending and you don't want more people to join, then you can just close it. We've already seen a case where there's sub-only days, so maybe we need, like, a VG mode that you can set, like, normal or sub-only. Maybe VG sub-only, simple as that. So that could be something. What was another thing that I wanted to build? Damn, I now forgot about it. I want to do a I want to refactor some stuff, because all of this work is now done manually in the app, and I can show you, because it was all in the moment. So all I did was just write test cases and make sure the tests pass. So if I go to commands, the command domain, and then I go into the commands, you will see that every single command still has a test with command helper match prefix, and this is, like, duplicated everywhere. So in one way that's nice, but in another way it's not so nice. So what I'm thinking of is a couple things. So we have a command router. So what I want is, I want a command router to have middleware, just like your normal web router, right? So you would have middleware that can control the parsing of the data before it lands to a command, which is nice, because then we can do all this work before it hits the command, so that the commands don't have to worry about it. And the same, so we need, like, ooh, but this is before the router. Ooh. Wait, so how does web middleware work? Web middleware. Yeah, let's just take Laravel, sure. I think this all happens before the router. Laravel middleware lifecycle. Maybe there's an image. Oh, request lifecycle. First steps, public index.php, sure. Kernel, HTTP kernel, the text application environment, Also defines a list of HTTP middleware that all requests must pass through. So we're doing kind of similar. So middleware is actually before the router. So maybe we need a kernel as well. And then it just like goes through the middleware, and then our middleware is like let me think. Because okay, let's list out what we actually want. So what we want is, I want to make sure that we're stripping out the extra spaces out of the message. Because I'm pretty sure we never really need that. So we need a middleware for that. So that's like a message sanitizer middleware, which is like doing the stripping. And then we have, if we do that, then the prefix handling will be very easy, because we can just check like if it just starts with our command, which is super simple. Message stripper, exactly. What I also want is argument parser middleware. But I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know if this is gonna be a middleware or something else. So what I basically want, might not be, but I just want like argument parsing. So maybe based on a schema. So what I mean by this is, this might be overkill, but I just think it's cool. So right now, our command takes like a client and then a payload, and a payload contains of arguments which are sent to this command, which are strings. But some of these arguments are actually numbers. So if you're typing VG pick 5, the command receives this as 5, you know, like arguments like this. And if you do 5, 6, 7, 8, it would return 5, 6 as strings, 7, 8. But what I want is like, I want a command to be able to specify. Actually, if you think about it, I want to be able to specify like the order of these arguments and then what they should be parsed as. Because in some cases, maybe if you're passing in a number, maybe it shouldn't always be a number. But I also don't know that. Chat, can you think of any reason why a command would receive this as a string rather than a number? Maybe it will be too magical to like check if I can kind of parse it to a number. Okay, so what happens? Hold on, I actually want to see. What if I do number and then I type in null? Not a number. Okay. Yeah. For a specific command or in general? I don't know. Can we think of a command where I can type something and it might be a number where I don't want to parse it to a number? Can you pick a user directly? Yes, you can pick there's like commands where you can pick a number. So you can say position and then username, which will be a string, but I don't think anybody's username is just a number, right? I don't think you can have a Twitch name which would be just like this. Can you? Yeah, that's what I'm scared of. Maybe it is. So that would be too risky, right? To try and parse everything as numbers. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is super overkill, right? This is like I can easily just handle this within the command, but I would rather not. You know, like I would rather have this all settled when it reaches to the command, because then the commands become easier. I wish I could almost do this at build time, you know? Like change the interface for this to be number. Oh, this is gonna be so nasty though. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Type-wise, this will be a nightmare too, though. Because if I type here that it can be an array of string or number, then I will still have to do parsing anyways. So you don't want that. You want it to kind of be like, for this command, it's number. So maybe like this. And then it's like T, and then you just say like number. And then for other commands, it might be something else. Oh boy. Kind of a logistical nightmare for that. But type-wise, I guess we can make it work. But then it would still be like, you cannot really specify that, like, for the command, you want like part of the arguments to be something. You cannot say like, for this command, I want the arguments to be string, number, string. I don't know if we're ever gonna have commands that are gonna be that complicated though. I'm pretty sure all my commands are just gonna be like pick, VG pick, number, VG position, username. I don't think it's gonna be ever that complicated. Maybe I'm just I'm just overly excited for something that's never gonna happen. But let's make that a second one. I think the message sanitizer middleware might be a really important one. And I think we can also do some sort of... Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. But maybe it's not the... Yeah, maybe it's not the message, the sanitizer middleware that needs that. I'm like, in theory, you could do auth middleware, but like, how does auth, like auth knows about stuff beforehand, but like, wait, how does it handle that? Because there's, oh, you can do like session middlewares, but then like, so the session starts beforehand, and then, because like what I want is like I want to basically say this is a mod only command, right? So then like my command just specifies mod only, and I don't have to do this like like on this level. So I need some sort of like enhancement on class level maybe. Maybe these just need to be life cycles, you know, like public before run, and then you can just say like if you return false here, then it will not pass to run, then it will not actually run. Because then on router level we can just say like it just also gets this payload. Then we can say like before run, you just like if the user is mod, and then just return only if the user is mod. So if not mod, then return like false. And then the run command becomes really simple. So this is not in the case of like join, but this is in the case of like some other thing. And the nice thing is if I have that lifecycle, I can also do the same thing for my admin commands. So for example, pick is a moderator command, and you can see like there's this logic in place here that you don't really want to be part of your run method in your command. You rather want this to be like some sort of lifecycle method that doesn't like do this crazy stuff. Because then it reads pretty nicely, right? It's like before run, and then it's like you check if it's this, okay, and then we just get rid of this if statement because this is like just before checks. And then now we're getting to the real method, which is like pick the amount of players from arguments, which we also kind of want to, you know, maybe simplify. But this is that like parsing that I was talking about. We're doing it like in the command now. But yeah, let's see. Let's just start with, I think, the message sanitizer middleware, and then let's see how it goes. So start with master, fresh master, add middleware. Sick. So middleware happens before it hits the router, so that's kind of interesting because we're just passing like the client on message, and then we're just, you know, building the router. So what we might need is like the actual app. So also this is index here, but it should be actually living outside. Like this thing is just to create a Twitch bot, but right now it doesn't do that. So I also don't know how I'm gonna do that yet, but I'm just gonna look at other Twitch bots and just like copy what they have. Because in theory, like this will be open source, and then actually like put on npm, and people can just download this and then connect to, you know, using VR games. So I want middleware. What I also want is I want to store the people in queue into the file system. So I have a memory queue. But I also need a, here I have a memory queue. So this stores it in memory. What I want is, I need like a file system queue. So yeah. Okay, let's think this through. Let's think this through. I hate this method. I think it's ugly. I think it's unnecessary. Let's think this through. Maybe this already is like groundwork for like the actual building, you know? Like we don't want everybody to do type this when you start out. Hell no. What's up, Peef? How's life, bro? How's things? We don't want everybody to type this. This is ugly. So I think what we need is you need like an app, and then you just need to start it with a client. So you create the client, which is here, and then the app like connects to the on message. Is the on message the same for everybody? Or is it the handler? Okay, no. So the type is different every time. Oh no, it's not. So it takes channel user message self. Okay. Okay, so I've defined that. So in theory we could hook this in here, and then on message, in theory we could have like a message here, like a class sort of thing. And then we, Jesus, I've written too much PHP these days. It's crazy. I'm not proud of it. So we create a message, like a request in theory. And then the message has a sender. Like sender, it has a message, or maybe arguments. No, it has a message. And it has, what else does it have in here? A channel. So it has a sender, a message, and then a recipient. Or like just a channel. Maybe that's easier. Not to make it too vague. I'm doing good, man. Really busy, but doing good. How about you? Haven't said a thing here in a long time. Yes, good to see you, man. Good to see you. What are you busy with these days? Okay, so we have a message, and now we can rely on that message, which is kind of similar to kind of like this, but then put into an actual contract. So we convert this to a message, and on the message, we pass this through middleware. So this gets sent through middleware. Middlewares. And then run with the message. And in all of these middlewares, we'll do like middleware.next with the message. And they will just continue doing their thing until there's no things to run anymore. And then we have the message, the updated message. Which is now changed. So we get back the message that is updated. And then we parse that to we pass it to the router to handle the message. It's almost like we're reinventing the wheel. What people have done with requests, we're now doing that with messages. What a concept. But it's a learning experience for all of us. I might be over-engineering the shit out of it, but it's fun. It's like learning. We're learning. And then that's it. That's it, really. So what we really need is an app. An app.ts. Let's create an app. Can I do final? Does that exist? No. Constructor. Do we actually need that? Yes, we need to store the client. Let's create a static though. Create. That takes a client interface. And that will just do new app with the client. And then we're creating constructor, and then we say client interface. I just don't like new something. I don't know why. I just hate it. I just like create. It looks cooler. But you can also do it just like this. Okay, then we set the client on here. So we say like this thing has a property client and it is a client interface. Oops. And I've told you guys in previous videos already why I'm using interfaces and not classes directly. And that is because we can now swap the implementation here for something else. So the app works with a Twitch client, but it could also connect to YouTube. It can also connect to other things. So as long as we adhere to this client interface, which is connect, on message, and say, we are good to go. So what we're going to do is when we start this up, we're going to connect to the client. Let's start with that. So when the app starts, we call connect on the client. Awesome. And then what are we gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then we're gonna have a method called start. Or maybe this shouldn't connect in the constructor. Maybe it should connect in start. So this would connect the client. Otherwise, it'd be kind of weird. And so connect is async, I think. Yes. So let's make this an asynchronous function with a try and catch. If the client fails to connect, we are going to console.error e. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just kill process.exit. I can never remember what the process exit codes are. Process exit code. Is one good or is one bad? I can never remember. Catch all or generic errors. 1. Cool. Yeah, we want the app to blow up. What's up, Grike? What's up, Grike Live? What's your bot gonna be for? Good to see you back, by the way. Or at least I think I've seen you before. School's really busy now with online school, etc. Building online brand for a year now. COVID canceled a lot of my plans for it though. But yeah, we all know the COVID story. Yeah. Know the feel. Hope it goes well though. Okay, so the client has started and now we're just gonna do clients. We need to create a router. Let's do that. Create is regardless. So let's get this here. We also pass the router. That's not really a nice, clean interface, but it is better for testing. Maybe, you know, maybe we do it like this. Wait, command router dot create client. Router. What does this router be? Is it, oh, it's just a router. Okay, there's no interface for this, so we're always depending on the router anyways. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do this for now. Let's see if we actually need to dependency inject here later. So we have a router that's instance of this router thing, and we have a yep. Cool. So this is not actually what this is. Cool. The router need to config? No, it's only used here. Awesome. Okay, so as soon as the connection has been started, we want to hook into the on message. And then when we get the message, we get the channel, the user, and the message, and self. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run this through the middleware. So for every single message, what are we going to do? We're going to do this.middlewares, this, which is middlewares, and then I don't know, any array. We're gonna like add this with middlewares. Middlewares, any this, middlewares. Awesome. So this needs to just be yo. Wait. So my Twitch bot is going to be for a viewer game app that I'm building, which you can already try out now. If you just want to play around with it, it's working, so try and break it. One bad, yeah, nice. So try and use it. Try do viewer game like exclamation mark join or viewer game leave or viewer game queue or viewer game position or viewer game position of a username or viewer game pick. Something like that. Try it out. Play around with it. Okay, so on message, we need to do this.middlewares and then we get the final message back. So we first need to create a message. So this is like call. What did I say? Handle. Next. So we do map. So what map does, it iterates over an array and then it builds a new array. So this is nice for transforming data. So let's say, for those of you that are unaware of map, this is like a really important built-in feature. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is an array, and I do a map, so you guys are probably familiar with for each because it literally just says what it does. It's like for each in this array, do something. So for each x, I want to do x, I want to do console log x plus 1. And then this will console log, so this will return undefined. That's what it will return. But in the meantime, it will console log. This will log 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice, but it will return undefined, and that's the important bit. So if I do const YOLO equals this, and I remove the console log, and I just do x plus 1, and I'm like console log YOLO, it will give me undefined. Because for each does not return anything, it returns void, which is undefined. What map does, on the other hand, if I do x plus 1, this will build, it will iterate over every single item, and then it will call this function and then put it in that position. So if it will basically start with an empty array, and it will be like 1, and I call this function. So I'm like 1 here, 1 plus 1 is 2. So I put 2 in this slot. And it goes to the next one, it's like 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's what I return. So this is my return value if I call x plus 1. So that's very useful and very important to note that these built-in functions exist. Because what we're going to do is we're going to have a bunch of middlewares here, which is just like a new middleware. You know? And this new middleware has a next function that takes a message, and it's of the message type. And so if we're gonna call that, and we're saying loop over every single middleware here, and just so let's just remove this. Let's actually just, you know, go walk through it. So like, let's say we have 2 middlewares here, and they're both their own thing, you know, like this will just like plus 1 middleware. And this will be my two string middleware. And then I pass in hold on a second, 1 sec. Or did I need something that I put in. So I'm like start value is 1. And then I say, okay, loop over all of these middlewares. And so I iterate over them. For every single middleware, call next with the start value. This will not work. Will it? This will only work if this is a primitive, but it's not a primitive. So this is more like reduce. So map does not work just by explaining it live. Fuck. I just used the wrong one. We need reduce here. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. What does reduce do? Well, it's a good image for that. Troubleshooting on the spot. Yeah, I'm glad I found that. Reducer. Okay. Yeah, it's not really what I meant. Programming. Give me the example of fruit. Sandwich. Best one. Sandwiched. There's one. Beautiful example. Oh no, I just downloaded that. I don't want to download that. Wait, really? Let's download it again. Beautiful, this one's better. I don't know how to download it. I just downloaded an image twice. I don't know what it is. Could be a fucking... Could be a virus or something. So if you have a bunch of ingredients, so this is a list of ingredients, right? It's like, it's if you were to look at it, it's like this. Like cheese. And then lettuce. It's a fucking pig. Rip the pig, man. So map will transform a value into something else. So like if I have a list of cheeses, cheese and cheese 1 and cheese 2, and I map it and I say I want to transform cheese into slices. So cheese dot slice. And then this will give me back a list of cheese slices. Woo, that's cool. So map transforms a value. It doesn't like convert something or combine something. Combines the previous value with the next value. Which is what middlewares are. Middlewares are taking the previous message and then transforming it with your transformation into the next one. And so like if we want to combine this recipe into an actual sandwich, we need to take all of these ingredients and then add them all together. So what Reduce is really good at is combining values together. So if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I reduce it and I say, I start with the previous value and the next values. That's like what I get. So I get the previous value, so what is operated from the previous one, and the next value. And I can also fill in the start value, which is 0. And then I say I want to add the previous number, previous value with the next value. And then in the end, it will basically, whatever is passed as like the starting element is most of the times also what you're gonna get back. So, but it doesn't have to be. Like people also abuse reduce. But like let's say I have a list of numbers and I want to add them all up. I can just say like reduce, start with 0 because we're counting from 0. So we start with the value 0. And then we're going to the list and we find the first element 1. And then we call this method, which is previous value was 0. And then the other value is 1. And then we add them together. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So now our previous value is 1 for the next one. So like we go into the next one, which is 2. And then our previous value was 1. So we're going into 1. And then the next value is 2. And then we do 1 plus 2. And then you go through the entire list. And then you add everything together. And then you get back a value of 15. If I did math correctly. This is 9, 10. 2 plus 3 is 5. What's the return type of reduce? So I think it will take it from the actual back of this last value, the initial value. And it will also depend on the array. But I think it can actually understand it. So I think in this one, it will actually know that I get back a number. Bob. Bob is a number. Nice. It actually knows. So what is that? Why do we need to know that for our middleware? Well, the thing is, we're going to reduce over all of our middlewares, and then we get the previous message and the next middleware. Because we start with a message here, new message, which we don't even have yet. We don't even have this class yet. So let's just quickly define a random message. constructor, and it takes a channel, which is a string, a user, which is, what was a user? User state interface. Boom. And a message, which is a string. And that's it. That's all it does. Oh, we can say public here. I hate the syntax, but it works. The ugliest syntax in the world. Now it just also created properties for it. It's super magical. Okay, so we create a message and we'd say like, okay, the starting message starts with this first one that we're getting here. And we ignore self, because fuck self. And then what we need to do is for every single... So this is the previous message, and it starts with this one that we just built off of this initial one. And then we do next middleware dot handle, no, next. Or actually, this is current middleware. Current middleware. And then we say previous message. And then we need to return it. So as long as this returns a message, we're good to go. And then this will get me back it doesn't know yet because middlewares are nothing. Sudoku. So now this is not type safe yet. But if we say interface middleware, and obviously we're going to move this to our own files, and we say middleware should have a method called next, which takes a message, and it returns a message, then in theory, I think we should be fine. As long as we say like, yep, these are the list of middlewares, this is a list of middlewares, and this is empty, sure, that's fine. What's the problem here, brother? Oh, it should return something? Promise unknown. Okay. Fixed. What's the problem with message? Duplicate message. Oh. Chat message. Sure. Fine. Okay, so now we have a message. And now I think it understands that it's a message. Nice. Excellent. So now we're working with messages. And so now all we need to do is we need to call this.router.handle message. That's all we wanted to do. But the router doesn't have message or doesn't have handle because this freaking router has this complicated method called execute or ignore. Like, what the frick? Handle. Way easier. So now I'm going to break all my tests. So let's not do that yet. Let's first just see if this works. And then it's complaining because it's like, well, you know, I don't expect, so it's already breaking anyways. So might as well just add a new one. Public async handle. And then it takes a message, which is a message type, which it doesn't have because it doesn't import it. And it does all of the same things. Message.message. Which is already freaking ugly. I hate it. Not a fan. And then what we do is we do the same thing as this. So we got that covered. But we don't know about self actually. So maybe we do need to know about self. Message of type message. No, this is string. It doesn't know what it is. When it's self, it should ignore. But we don't know about self, so I guess this also needs to know about self. I don't like self, but let's just roll with it for now. The thing that we're aiming for here is we write ugly code, we make the test pass, and then we refactor. Because as soon as we know that the test pass, then it means that we can safely refactor. Keep that in mind, chat. Keep that in mind. So we're doing the same thing as everything else. Command.prefix and the message. Parse arguments. So here we can already assume now that if we reach this point, we don't need to do anything crazy anymore. Because now we already know that the message contains no random spaces and everything. So what I can do now is I can say parse arguments. Sure, I'm fine with that. And find command doesn't need this test anymore. Because what this really needs to do is it oh, okay, yeah, sure. This is all the logic, sure. All good, all good. All right, so now we have a bunch of command arguments, and then we just need to run the thing. Command.run. Do you need channel still? Maybe we should just pass the message, but then we can't destructure, so maybe that's not great. Message.channel, arguments, and then message.user, or sender, or user. Don't know yet. Awesome sauce. Okay, let's create a concept of a message. I don't know where that should live though. Could you use regex to ignore white spaces? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Middleware. But here we say commands, and then here we say singular. But there's no middlewares. It's just middleware. So it's also plural, so it's fine. Okay. That comes later. We don't need middleware yet. We don't need middleware yet. Okay. Sick. Awesome. Like where this is going. Does not clean up a thing yet, but it made our command simpler. Or it can make our command simpler. What was I doing? We have our middleware working. We have our router, sort of, kind of. We need to, yeah, the message. Where are we gonna make the what's the concept of a message only lives everywhere. So let's just make a new domain. Message is what it is. And we're gonna have a let's just make it live in here. Message. Interface. Message. Interface. What did we say a message was? Sort of something like this. Kind of, maybe. Something, sort of. Interface. Message. Interface. Let's define what a message is. What is a message? A message has a sender. It has the actual chat message. But a message interface, a message contains a message? Yes, yeah, sure. Fine. Did bot send? Is this clear, chat? Do you guys think this is clear? Did bot send? Is that like a nice name? Not sure. Is human? Oh, no, this is like the bot self can also send messages, but it needs to ignore its own message. So like if I do viewer game join and then the bot says you have joined the queue, then it shouldn't like infinitely loop, right? Like if the bot says viewer game join and it says like, and then the bot says viewer game join, the bot should not join itself, and then it should here, get the message, and then it would do viewer game join again. Like that would infinitely loop. So this is like a guard clause that's just like saying, hey, sender, did you send this? But actually, on the other hand, this should be part of the sender, right? I don't think we really need this. And the nice thing is, this logic right here, we can maybe just break it early, you know? Like we can this could be a part of the middleware. Maybe. Own message. Is that clear enough? I don't know. I think we don't need it because in theory, like I know maybe. Well, self is kind of nice. But maybe it should just be part of this. But then the user does not really care about a message. So no, this shouldn't be. Struggle. Is own message. Boolean. As if that was ever a criteria for programmers when naming variables. I mean, it should be. Static. Constructor. Sender. Message. Channel. Implements message interface. Do I then still need to define this, or does it not care? It does care. Oh boy, do I love this duplication. Oh boy, do I love fucking... Jesus. Actually, we could just do, you know, this message into a sender. Does that work? No, it doesn't. You little shit. Okay. Ugly, but works. Reduces duplication. Still ugly. Fine though. I live with this. God. Sometimes I hate TypeScript, man. Sometimes I just hate... Look at this miserable piece of code. Miserable. Create from... Oh, what did we... Oh, what did we call this this thing? What did we call this thing? Oh, we didn't call this anything. Sick. Message handler. As long as it just implements this, we should be fine. God. Oh, my back is hurting. I think I'm gonna die, guys. I have like this tingling sensation on the back right now. If I pass out, you guys know what the fuck to do. Call 911. We don't have 911 here. If I pass out, you guys just call somebody. Export. And then we just call just new message with sender channel user channel sender user. Is sender really, is user better than sender? What do you guys think? If you have a message and you call if you have like a message dot user or message dot sender, feels more clear. What do you think, chat? This is interactive coding session with Boyd. Oh, dude, I'm actually gonna die. I don't know what's going on. Why am I dying? Message.messenger. Author. It's not an author, chat. Come on. This is Twitch we're talking about. We're not writing a book. Okay. Easy peasy. Message.shit poster. Honestly, that'll be sick. That would actually be sick. Message, not quite an author because this is Twitch. We're talking about chat. Yeah. I think Lavra would be a great programmer. Naming things would be sick. Okay, back to the app. We can delete this message. And then we're gonna import message from. Jesus, what the fuck did I just import? And message interface. From message. Do I really need the message interface actually? Create from message handler. Woo-wee! Look. Return missing type. Promise void. How's life, Lavra? We're listening to Zelda and Chill. Zelda and Chill FM. Missing return type. What do you mean? Like, TypeScript, are you dumb? You know it returns it. Oh, it's ESLint. Okay. ESLint, are you dumb? What do you mean? Okay, so this thing doesn't really care about the message per se, but the middleware cares about the message interface. That's the only thing it cares about. And it returns a message interface. In theory. It shouldn't necessarily be message. It should be message interface. Like, what the fuck? Which is also fine. It's fine with that. Pretty sick at the moment. What the frick? Oh, are you okay? How are you guys? I don't know. I'm just kind of dying right now. I don't know. I just have this like tingling sensation on my back for some reason, which is sometimes it happens. It's been a recent phenomenon that this happens. Kind of don't know why. Okay, we're just gonna die. Cool. We have cross domain. We are listening to a message, and it's going to return the promised router response. Like the other one. Standing desk. Spiders on my back? True. I wish I had a standing desk. The cell does not exist. What does exist? Its own message exists. And this is sender. Message.sender. Awesome sauce. That's the cringiest word I've ever used. Awesome. So now we have a middleware system. So let's now create actual middlewares. Or let's create an interface for it. Interface, middleware. And let's take it from here and just like copy it in here. Yes. Give me that message interface, buddy. Oh, it doesn't like that? Hey, bro. Export middleware interface. It has a next and it returns a message. Or false. Could we make it return false? Wait, don't say that again. Nah, maybe. Not yet. Let's not do that yet. But in theory, it should be able to break early, but it doesn't do that right now. So now we've killed that out of the app. And so now we have a bunch of middleware. And we're going to import out of commands. We are going to... Ooh, maybe it should be living contract. No. Commands. No, this is middleware interface. Let's also export that. Pasta sauce and amaze balls. It makes me do crazy Tygan awkward face. I don't know who that is, but I can pretend if you want. I'm like, what's the word? What's the word when you don't have any knowledge about the world around you? Degenerate? Probably. All right, middlewares. And then we call middleware and then we get a message interface back. And now that's working. Now it's all settled and ready to go. Let's write some tests for this, shall we? Let's write some tests for this. How are we going to test this? What was the question? app.test.ts? Oh, did we use spec or spec? Okay. App.spec.ts. Describe app. Boom. Describe. What does it do? Create. Static. Create. Test should create an instance of an app. You really test that? Cool. We have describe. We have start. What should it do? Test. Describe. When connecting successfully. Should be able to handle messages. Cool. What other things should it do? When it cannot connect. When it fails to connect. So chat, I've told you guys so many times what this is, but tests are just a way of describing how your app should work. So start with that. Don't like make the test complicated. Start with the test cases. Like, what does it need to do? When it fails to connect, it should... What should it do? It should error the program. Oh god. Oh boy. Is that actually what we want to do? Probably not, actually. This should probably not happen. When it fails to connect, it will just throw an error. Just throw an error, bro. Throw an error. And since we know it returns a promise, we can just catch it. Easy peasy. Cool, that's a case. What else can go wrong? Describe. When passing middlewares, where is plural, should process the message through a middleware. It also call the router at some point. Oh, now I really want to mock this, but the router is not mockable because we didn't write an interface for this. Bleed. Write test-driven development ones, but it requires you to have a predefined architecture. Yeah, you need to design your app. I just do a hybrid, you know? Sometimes I do specs first, sometimes I do specs after. Sometimes I don't really know what I want yet, so then you just like build it as you go and then figure out. But as long as you... The thing is, if you've ever done test-driven development, you know how to write your code in a way that allows for that. And I think that's the most important part. I don't really think like the test-driven development like should happen before, but I think if you've done test-driven development once, you will know how to test your code. So like I could have just built this without dependency injecting here, which could have been fine. You know, it's not a problem. Could have just done that. Just boot up just like the router here. Boot up, just inject the middlewares directly, just build the middlewares here. No clients, just like injecting it. But that makes it a lot harder to test. And then like writing the test afterwards is annoying, because then it's like, oh my god, writing my test takes longer than actually running my code and testing it manually. Yeah, no shit, because you just didn't build your code correctly. If you build your code and you write your code in a way that allows it to be test driven, then you can do your architecting or your designing of your software a little later if you don't know yet what you want to build. But like the nice thing is I can just start with an interface anyways, which is also designing your code. So if I'm just like building my interface, I'm like, a command looks like, I think even architecting an app can just be like by starting just defining types and just be like, a command, you know, I'm working with commands, just one file, open one file, just write all your interfaces in one file. Start with that. Just like, my app looks like this. I want users to interact with my app like this, and I want them to have user, and a user looks like this. It has a name and it is a string. And then what else does it have? Why does this not work? It only be doesn't like it that it's not a TS file. Okay, bro. Listen. Start with this then. Huh? I'm cheating. If you start your app like this, holy shit, will you write good code? Because it's like, okay, I'm defining what my user looks like. It's like a username, there's a string. My command just needs to run something, and it needs a user, and maybe a target. Target, so it's a channel, it's like a string. Target channel, maybe that's more clear to the outside world. Cool. Target channel, and then it's a message. Cool. Yeah. And if you write your code like this, the nice thing is that as an outsider, you might actually be able to understand what is going on here, which is what you want. What's up, Fancy? How's it going? Yo, if you guys haven't checked Fancy out, and also welcome, Lisa. How's life? You guys haven't checked Fancy out, please go check her out. She's like a pro Apex player. Like the kind of Apex player we all desire to be, you know? Defining a data structure is really useful for apps that shuffle data around. It's useful for all apps, really. Like basically by defining or typing your stuff, you will have the power of build time, you know? And the nice thing is that you will actually define the differences between, and you can do this on paper too. Oh, this is funny because it's funny that I actually switched to that. Domain-driven design. Because look at all these terms here. Look at all these terms. Oh god, this is terrible. This one. I always use this one. Look at all these terms here. And look how like we have the same customer in a sales context and we have the same customer in a support context. They might be the same customer, but they might look different. Because for support context, a user or a customer in this case, a customer might look like this. So it's called customer, and it might look like this, like Zendesk ID number. But for a sales customer, it might look like, I don't know, fucking sale, like upsell score. Customer that knows about the like every customer has like a possibility of how hot or whether or not you can upsell the customer or not. I don't know, but these are in theory the same person going through your system, but they're completely different in terms of like how they look. And then if you try to combine the two, which is what you do when you start out, because your app just doesn't naturally start like this. You start with designing it and like thinking that this is it, and then sales comes in and like, no, we need to also store how like well we can upsell them. So then it's like, okay, so Zendesk ID is 1, 2, 3, and then sales is like, well, we need that upsell score. So then you're like, okay, let me run a migration and just like add customer and just add the upsell score here, which is number. Cool. No problem, right? No problem. And then sales is like, okay, well, we have a marketing customer actually too, and marketing actually wants the email of the customer too. But if like for support, we don't really need the email. But okay, let's slap the email on here too. Cool. Yep. Nice. Sounds good. And then they're all the same customer through your app's workflow. They're all the same. Like it corresponds to the same person, but the domains are completely different and they allow for a completely different interface. And so if you start using them like this, your models, your like interfaces will grow, and then you start to wonder like, okay, if I change this customer, I will now need to be sure that it also works in support because they're using the same customer, and I also need to make sure that if I change the customer here because marketing wants like the email to be formatted differently, or like they want to have an upsell score too for their marketing purposes, but it's a different value, so now it's like a number like urgent, like we need to upsell them urgently because otherwise we lose it or something. Then it's like, oh my goodness, this is terrible, because like we just called it a number, so now I need to kind of like translate the two. But like marketing is calling this upsell score and sales is also calling this upsell score. That's terrible. So now maybe I just like marketing upsell score, right? We've all seen this. And so like your model now grows and it has this upsell score, but it also has a marketing upsell score. Because marketing wanted this one. This one's like urgent and stuff. What's up, Medbaleh? How's it going? And also for the boys root, thank you so much for the follow. So like if you don't define your boundaries properly, which is what I'm doing here, right? Like let me show you. This like client, right? This client doesn't know anything about the router or the commands that it's using. But the message here, I just defined like what a message should look like and how a message should be handled. And this has nothing to do with the Twitch, the Twitch's interface either. This is just my interface, and I use it from Twitch. I use it from other places. But the nice thing is like, as soon as this transitions to a message, I convert it, and you see like there's a lot of duplication, right? Because like the message interface here, and then these things are exactly the same types as these. It's like a lot of duplication, but there's clear boundaries. Like I can now change this message interface to something else, like Bob, to be always Ross, and you need to pass this to the message without having to worry about breaking the implementation with Twitch, because the conversion happens in one place, or the conversion happens in the use case that you're working with, which allows like code over time to change independently without breaking other code. Because if I want to be easy, I just like use the same interface here, and then use the same interface here. Call it all the same, all good to go. And it's all good. And then if TMI changes, I will now need to change in all of these places. I will need to change code because I was relying on this TMI. So tmi.js is the library that I use to connect to Twitch IRC. So let's say Twitch, like TMI is not sending us channel anymore, but it's now an object, you know, and then it contains like the channel name and like how long have they been on Twitch for, date, which is awesome. But like now everywhere where I relied on this channel being a string, I will need to change and map it to this channel name, which is terrible. It's not great. It's not what you want. So by defining boundaries in your code, just like how you define boundaries in your your domains, you can guarantee that you can make a change without breaking something, because that's the most important part. Is like you want to write code that later, like if you need to make changes, because like I'm not a business, right? But like if you work for a company, there's gonna be changes in the business, and you want to be able to pivot with the business. And so if you write your code in like some people say dry, right? Some people say dry, which is don't repeat yourself. Dry is good. Don't get me wrong. Dry is good. Like you don't want to like repeat yourself over and over and over. But there's also the extreme, right? Like where I try to reuse this because like look how many properties are like the same here. But like if you do that in the wrong places, if you don't repeat yourself in the wrong places, you will tightly couple all the modules that you've written like with each other. Because you'll be writing, your router is now the same type as your connection to Twitch, so that if your connection to Twitch changes, your router needs to change. And your command is tied to your router, so like if your router changes, your commands need to change. And now all of a sudden you need to fucking go through everything and change it. The solid principles, exactly. Important. Thanks for the shout. Just wanted to stop by and drop a lurk. Thanks, Fancy. Really appreciate it. About to watch Demon Slayer movie. Hope your programming is going well. Enjoy the movie. Demon Slayer movie. I've never heard of that. Solid principles, yes. But sometimes, you know, you just need to have clear examples of like how it works. But like, I can guarantee you some codes will look more verbose. And then it's even harder to like come up with the proper abstractions to do it properly. But if you write your code more verbose and then you write tests on top, you can actually defer like these big architectural changes to later, just like I did now. Like, I am able to rewrite part of this router because everything works in isolation. I don't have to touch the TMI connection. I don't have to do anything with that. That just lives there. All I need to do is just change something in between the app and the router to handle my middleware, and that's all I need to do. So as long as I just like define my boundaries in the code, I will be able to put something in between those if I want to. And so I started with a very verbose app, and people are like, oh my god, this code is ugly. Like, look at this. This is not pretty code. But then at some point, this will become prettier because you've clearly defined all your boundaries, and you're starting to learn what the actual, you know, what the space looks like. What do you need to, what are you actually repeating every time? Like for my commands, for example, I've got a lot of duplicate code in my commands because at some point I will figure out this is the proper abstraction that I want to go for. So the same for this message. You know, this is like the abstraction that I think I want to go for now, because I can change it in my middleware and then just have a solid message at the end. In the context of the example, you vouch for making different entities for the different types of customers. Yes, and they live in different places too. So like, you can even have different repositories for these domains. Like, it depends really on like how big your app is. But like, in the domain-driven world, this customer probably has its own deep database even. And then if you ever need this customer in the support context, you just need to convert this. And they, like these edges right here, this is like the adapter. This is like where you adapt or convert, or there's so many terms for this, transform your customer in sales context to a customer in the support context. Because that allows for actual change isolated enough in order for, like, if I change this customer does not break, because I've clearly defined the boundary of like what a sales customer is and what a support customer is. Essentially, if both entities have an idea, they're easily linkable. Yes. Sure. Yeah, you can have like some connection here that combines the two. I don't know. But like this customer can easily change without having to know about this customer. Because you don't want to, like, when you're touching when you want to make a change to your support customer, you want to add a field, you don't want to have to worry about breaking your sales customer. Same for product. It's not a problem to have two different products. The nice thing is that you can scale them like separately. As long as they, like, when you need to bridge the gap, you can do so. And it could be that at some point, okay, I've clearly defined that there is one customer, so this needs to be stored in one place. And then on top of that, the real shared logic can be like living in its own place, and then the support only context can live somewhere else. That, you know, like, you need to figure that out. But code-wise, you can already do a lot. Like, not reaching into too deep into the other person's contract. Like, I'm clearly defining here in my command, I'm clearly defining what I'm allowed to import from outside. So you won't see any other modules from these domains. Like, I have command, I have client, I have message queue. You don't see them reach out into the inner works of like commands and then reaching into this one and just getting a command, you know? These things only know what you publicly define for them. So this module's boundary is like all this. This is the only thing that the outside world needs to know about. I'm currently doing my graduation project in software engineering. This stuff just gives me anxiety. It's fine. You don't have to know everything. I certainly didn't. And as you start, you don't really need to know, and I don't know everything, right? I'm also running into stuff like what I'm doing now. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. Maybe I am not putting in the right abstractions, right? Like maybe somebody comes in and says like, yeah, boy, this is a lot of, you know, like verbose code. Like you can simplify this a lot. But for me, this is the right abstraction. This is just enough like verbosity for, I don't even know if that's a word. I think so. So that I can easily make changes in the future, but it's still maintainable. It's not like a huge file. It's still good enough. Like this method is going to go away. And then maybe we can simplify this because of the middleware that we're introducing. So this can probably go away. And then this parsing logic, I don't think we need that anymore. So a lot of things is going to change because of the simplifications and the clear way this app walks through code. And there's also no right or wrong, right? Like sometimes you think you make the right call and then you learn and then you need to change. So I like to start with a very verbose app, but have a lot of test coverage. And then you can change how it works if you have good test coverage. So unfortunately, I don't have integration tests. And since we're on app level now, the unit tests that I've written are not going to cover most of the cases that I just refactored. So that's unfortunate, but that's okay. Like we're writing the tests now. So what we're going to test is it calls the router correctly. Should call middlewares, build the messages. This is gonna do a lot of stuff though. It should also, this should be gone. Should pass the message to the router. I love that our curfew has been lifted. Could eat with my friends without having to leave at 9. Oh, nice. Actually, I didn't know the curfew was lifted. I just thought that they opened up the terraces and shit. Okay. These are the test cases that I want to cover. I think. Connecting. Yeah, so the nice thing is because we're relying on an interface here, I can just pass a fake client. It's nice. Because we have a couple of those. Alright, let's start. Import app. App.create, and then I need an instance of a client. So what I can do is I think I have a factory that I can import. Factory. Oh boy. Here. Okay. Okay, factory dot create a client. So what this factory does is just creates a test client for us. Cool. And then let's expect to be instance of app. I don't even know if this is a good test because TypeScript already covers this, I'm pretty sure, but it's all good. Let's do another thing. So it should call the middleware. So what does this test client do? It has a connected automatically resolves. Oh, but I cannot say that it's okay. That's fine. Let's yarn workspace, viewer games, Twitch bots, guest watch. And then when connecting successfully, it should be able to handle messages. That's already covered. When it fails to connect, it should throw an error. Yeah, so let's create a new client. Failed client. Implement client interface. So maybe we should make this part of the factory, maybe? Type. And then we can say it by default is success. And then the type is success or failed. And then we say that's fine. Guys, this is a mindfuck. I was going like diet foods, low calorie food, and you know the first picture of the recipe showed me fucking lasagna. Nice. So I'm wondering, I don't want to define a failed client as part of the, I think this should be test only. I don't know where this should live. Oh, nice. I have code here already for it. Export class, failed client, implements. I can even just actually extends. Never do this. I hate extends. Connect. I'm just gonna override this method. I'm just gonna say return promise.reject and a new error. Could not connect. I have no idea what I get back from Twitch if I am promise void. What does it need to be? Promise void. Okay. Okay, cool. We have a failed client now. This is awesome. This is a good song. Good old Super Mario. But it should be the default case, so we can say case success or default. Do this. Case failed. Return new failed client. Well, so here we say, okay, this is good. And then here we say failed client equals factory.create client.failed. And then we do expect app.create full failed clients start await async rejects to have message to error to throw error. There's also more actually. I don't know, this type is not complete. I think. Pog, last 10 minutes of the stream, Subwolf 8. Okay, we can just say throw error. I think that's what it should do. Okay, we can expect a message maybe. Message. Just expect error message. Oh, you can actually pass in the string. Nice. Okay. Yeah, let's assert this message. I actually don't know the message, but I just know the message for our failed client could not connect. Well, and actually, we don't need to test that because we just wanted to throw an error. That's what we want. Cool. Okay, so now we got that covered. I think these tests are all failing. Yep. Okay, so should call middleware and build the messages. How the fuck are we gonna test that? So we need middleware here. Class test middleware that implements middleware interface. Handle? That's what it was, right? Next. No, it was next. Message. God, I need to import message too now. Okay. And then it returns just... Oh, let's do this. Will that work actually? Hold on. What's the problem? Parsing error, fuck. I don't know what I'm doing, chat. I'm not know what I'm doing. Possibly undefined. What do you mean? It's right here. Okay, done. Oh, it's working. I don't know how it's working, but... Later, Doku. I'm also gonna be out soon. All right, new middleware. Sounds good. Okay, so we have our test middleware. And then we do new app that takes a client and then a list of middlewares. So middlewares. So we have our app here. And now we're gonna expect that if you call app.start, it will... Oh, I probably need to wait for it to connect. Good that we tested that. And now this needs to be async. So you wait for app. Oh God. How are we gonna trigger a message again on this test client? Test client. Say. Oh yeah, we can call say. Or not. No. How do we trigger an on message? Oh God. We don't have that. Okay, we need to implement that. Why did I not make this test client like using Jest? I don't get it. It's one thing I don't like. It's so hard to know like if a method is called, because that's all I want to test. I just want to check if the middleware is called and it's built the message correctly. When on message is called, calls Twitch with on message with this, and so all I need to do is I need this test client yeah, if I get this test client like trigger message message handler. Oh boy. Here we go. We're gonna implement this. Callback. Might as well just steal it from here. I just copy this? Oh, I just copied this. What is T? Twitch client T. Okay. Okay. So we just called so when I call this call Nick, he's crying. Oh no. What's up, Ken Gaming? How's it going? Please not Nick. Let's just register the on message here. Yeah, let's just say this thing. What does this need for? Promise the return value. Okay. Don't know what I need that for, but can I just say void? Does it really matter? Sure. This? Okay. On message handler equals callback. Nice. What does this say? Fuck, is it still not happy? On message handler T is not definable. Okay. Oh my god, what the I'm not a fan of how this is working, but it's okay. Trigger message. channel string. Not the say as message? No, this is like coming in. Message, user. We just need all of these. Oh god, this is horrible. But it is what it is. I need all these arguments. Wait, why is this an interface? Oh, I've never seen that before, that syntax. Didn't know I was possible, like, I could even do that. Yeah, so I shouldn't really be messing with this, you know? So when a message is triggered, I call the onMessage handler. Very dirty stuff. Channel, the user, the message, and self. If it's set. Cool. Void. Okay. I don't really know why I need a return type to this, to be completely honest with you. That's fine. Can I somehow get arguments type into TypeScript? Parameters. Sick. Does this even work? It doesn't look like it's really working. Args equals to this. How the fuck do I type this? Oh boy. This is nasty. I'm not a fan of this, but it works. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so now I think what I can do is I can actually call trigger a message on this. Bum ba bum. Just to test something, sometimes you really have to get some nasty shit done. So now what I can do is the app is started. Yeah, so the app is started. And now what I need to do... Oh shit, how am I gonna test? Yeah, we'll need to check the router. But the router is not something I'm passing. Okay, for now I'm gonna do a code smell. Router. I still cannot do that actually. So this will still not give me much. Oh, I can test the middleware at least, yeah. So I can do client dot trigger message, just draw cats, user, oh boy, factory dot create user, message, hello world, self, false. And now I want to assert, so first I want to assert that it wasn't called, so middleware's first. I want to expect that dot next to not have been called with, not to have been called. Okay. And then when I trigger a message, it should have been called to have been called times 1. And it should also have been called to have been called with expect any and then instance of message. Yeah. Holy shit, I have no clue this is gonna work. But let's see. Failed. Rest. Yeah, of course. Of course, of course. So this does not work. Oh, this is an app spec. It isn't like this. Why does it not like that? Rest parameter args explicitly has an any type. Oh my god, what the f... Okay, bro. Listen. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, I'm gonna hack the shit out of this. Watch me. Parameters. Middleware interface. Next. Fixed? Question mark. Function anonymous. Receive type function could not have been called. Oh, it was called. How was something called? So I waited the app to start. And then before... How was it called? Thanks, Lisa. Have a good night. Where's my console log at? Oh, again. It failed before. Function. Test client. This is what we're passing. Middleware next. Well, let's just console log whatever we're calling the mock with, because I am confused. What? What? We're creating an instance. I think we need to call mock, actually. Because we're mocking next. So I think now it should work. Okay, so now it passed. Okay, so message with sender this. Yeah, so this is all correct. Nice. Sweet. Okay, so we've got an app. that is calling the middleware. So we know that that's working, but I don't know how we're gonna like make it work with the router. So I think in the end we still need to also pass in the router. A router is more mandatory than middlewares. I would say router is second param, and then we just move this. And then here we just fill it up with this. And then we say router is a command router inputs. But now our command router needs an interface, because what we're really relying on is an interface, not the actual command router. Oh boy. Oh boy. You know what? Let's see if we can monkey patch for now. For the sake of this test. I'm gonna try and monkey patch. Okay. We're gonna hack the shit out of this. Okay, we're gonna get a client again, just like the other test. Middleware we don't care about. And then we just send it to the router. But maybe we need to test it with the middleware. It's better if we do. With a fake middleware. Move this one up so that we have access to this. Test middleware. I think this is prettier if we did like this. Then we don't have to do middleware 0. Okay, we do the same here. Now we're not really using this anymore, so now we might as well just do this. Okay, so we have an app, and then what we need to do is we need to monkey patch the app. So the app bootstraps a router, and now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna replace handle with a Jest fn function. Wow, can't believe they allow us to do that. Can't believe TypeScript is fine with this. Awesome. So now, monkey patch router to be mockable. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna start the app. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to trigger a message. Really not a one-liner? Yeah, definitely not. Okay. Cool. And then we expect that the handle app.router.handle. So this is kind of a code smell, right? Like we're reaching into the inner properties of this app, which should be private, but it's all good. To have been called times 1, and to have been called with exactly this. And I wish we also had the message itself, but we don't have that. Can I also get the last? We can assert a little bit about the message, actually. I think you can say app router handle, which is a Jest function. I think you can say mock instance dot mock on it, and then mock context, and yeah, calls. Very nasty though. Mock calls. It doesn't like this because it thinks it's here we go. Oh boy. Monkey patch. Let's go. Oh, this is so fucking nasty. This is the first argument. Oh boy. Okay, we know that this was called with a message because that's already passing. So now we have the message. Okay, let's put this in here. Message. Message from mock. Okay, now let's assert against that. Expect message from mock to equal yeah, so this is a God, what is this? This is a message, and what does message look like? Message sender message channel be this, right? So let's say our middleware transforms the message to the reverse, maybe? From the middleware to the router. And then let's just make a new middleware. Reverse message middleware. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. So let's just reverse the string. It's gonna be nasty. Message. Oh boy. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. Okay. Reversed message. Oh no, we have the message. We just need to change the message on there. So message.message equals to, how do I reverse a string? Reverse string JavaScript. I think you can actually just call reverse. String.reverse, hell yeah. Oh, no, you can reverse this. Oh yeah, okay. Message.message split, turns it into an array, reverse the array, and then join. Easy. This is great. This is a test, guys. This is terrible. Okay, we're changing the message to be reverse. And then here we should get the message being the reverse of it, because then we know that this is called. And then the right instance is back. So like, if we now reverse this, so whoa, and OLLEW, that's what the message should be. See if that works. Nice. So now we've tested that if we're passing middleware, it doesn't just take the message, create a message instance and pass it along. It will actually call the middleware, change the message, and then return that message to here. Okay, this is a very big test, but it is covering what we needed to cover. Because now I think we have this covered, the middleware parsing covered. Maybe we should have a private method called No, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. We have when it fails to connect. It actually fails. So what if I don't await? Will the test fail? That's what it should do. Yeah, exactly. Excellent. Cool. Awesome. Holy shit, that's a lot of code that we wrote. And the funny thing is, we haven't even written a single middleware yet. Okay. So now let's change our app here. Because in theory, this should have been a full refactor. Like, everything should still work. So we don't need this router anymore. All we need to do is import app from lib app. Yeah. Maybe app should live in top level, actually. App. And then what should this should do? This should be like app dot create Twitch client start. That's what this should do. And then we should have a try catch here. Application equals this. And then try application dot start. And then when it catches. Oh god, this is an asynchronous one though. So I don't think I can just await at the top level here. That sucks. But we have a solution for that. As ugly as that is. Or we can just do it the easy way. We can just do start catch error console.error e process.exit 1. Awesome. Look at that simplified app bootstrap. I have no idea if the app still works though. Hope it does. Let's review. So app create, it connects to the app's client. It on message listens. It then sends it to the middleware. The middleware takes the previous message and transforms it into a new message until we get a message interface. We pass it to the router handle. Router handle takes the message interface. It takes the message. Checks if it's its own message, ignores it. So that's beautiful. This could be like done in a middleware probably. And then we parse the arguments and then we run the command. Yep. I think this should work. Because then our old code can be removed. We need to refactor, like we need to fix the code for router and write some tests for that too. But let's see. So it connected. Now let's type in Twitch chat. Just rockcats. Pop out. Can I pop out here? How do I pop out chat? Oh, here. And then we do VG join. Look at that, it just works. So we've just like moved some stuff around, but like we haven't touched anything with regards to the commands itself, which is nice. So as soon as it like can run one command, we know that it can run them all. Excellent. Awesome, awesome. That's a lot of code we wrote. These tests are a little bit code smelly though. but this too, this is also pretty nasty. Yeah, I think we're good. So let's split this up. How can we split this up, actually? This is the middleware part. Define middleware interface. And in here, define message interface. Here we have the ability, add ability to create fail to connect client for testing. And then here we added allow message triggering from test client. And then we moved so we didn't do much here yet. So what we could also do is remove this part. And then let me see. We could change this app to be a little different. Because we're not really doing anything with this. We're not changing anything here yet. So in theory, we could remove the router changes. And then we move the app code. Stop. So what we could do is instead of running this, we call it with the router, the old router stuff. We call it with this. Test will fail. Then we need to pass channel message dot sender message dot message and message dot his own message. And now we're good again. So now we're adhering to the same contract. So we can remove the router changes because we need to change this anyways. Then we change the tests. Spec.ts, and then we can make a follow-up PR to do that so that we have a unit of work today that is done. Yeah, this nasty one is doing this handle. It should be, no, so this shouldn't be called with message. This should have been called with oh boy, now it's getting real nasty. Yeah, so it should have been called with this, all this. At least we know now. So it should be called with this. Oh, we need a user. We need the same user instance, and then not. So we don't need to do this nasty hack, which is nice, but we'll need it on the other side. So this will be the other way around. The message will be changed. Excellent. Yep. So that's a little less nasty, but it's still a little nasty. Just a tiny bit less. Oh, so now we can rely on the router test that we already had because we're using the old thing. And then on the next stream, we could create a message sanitizer middleware that just sanitizes the message from all of its spaces. Awesome. Adds app for creating for better public interface and the setup of middleware and preparing for routing, command routing. Awesome. Made a lot of progress today in our big journey to refactor, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two, just like I did. Because we're getting closer and closer to a public interface that we can actually be proud of. And so like this Twitch bot isn't necessarily a Twitch bot. This is more like the bot core. And then the Twitch bot is just like using this Twitch client to then build the bot. So it's like a set of plugins that you can just combine together into a Twitch bot. So you could also say this app is more like a kernel. It's not really the app. This is awesome. Let's review. So we refactored this. Oh, let me first post this description. What did we do? Refactor app Twitch bot to use app and prepare for middleware. The app will now bootstrap with or initialize with middleware, defined middleware, and the flow looks as following. 1. App bootstraps. 2. Message start called 2.1 or app bootstraps and start is called. 2. Connects to the client. 3. Adds a message listener to the client. When a message comes in, it will build a message, go through all middlewares to make changes to the message, passes this to the router. Awesome. This will allow for a future message sanitizer middleware that can clean up our messages. This might be super overkill, but it's yeah, very extensible now. I like it. Okay, let's create. Let's yeah, we just wrote all that, so yeah, so here we need to mark we are passing an empty array for the middlewares because we haven't written any yet. We will need to... Oh, so here I write middlewares too. Well, it's middleware, so let's change that. Why do I search for PHP, man? I've just written too much PHP these days. Reword middlewares. Where's to middleware? Middlewares is not a thing. Cool. We will need to... We can add the middleware here. The middleware here when we know what middleware we want. Middleware interface, message interface. Maybe the middleware should be living in the message like domain actually. Because it's not really a command middleware, it's like a message middleware. Maybe that's it. And then this should be like message.ts. Export star from message. Export star from middleware. Okay, and then where is this all imported? In the app, right? Yeah, so message middleware interface should now come from here. And the command should now remove this message. And now all the tests that come with that might also fail. Yeah, so this should come from message. Maybe we should rename this to message middleware. Message middleware interface. Are our tests still passing? Yes, they are. Is our app still working? Yep. Wait. Move middleware to message domain and rename the interface. Sweet. That's pretty clear. That's pretty straightforward. Changed. Message middleware interface. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Message. Yep. This is moved. Yep. Yep. Awesome sauce. Add middleware possibilities and refactor app. Like, let's wait for this to pass and then let's merge it. Progress, ladies and gentlemen, progress. We're making it super overkill, but we're learning a lot in the process. Hello? Okay. Question merge. Add middleware possibilities and refactor app. Squash and merge. Boom. Easy peasy. Sweet. Next steps. But not today. Today is over. Today is over. So, recap what we did today. We went over the feedback of our VR game app, of the alpha testing of what we have today. We walked through all the fixes that we've done, and then we've decided what kind of refactor we wanted to do, and so we added the possibilities for middleware, which will clean up our commands, hopefully by quite a bit. Not yet, but it will eventually. Awesome. Sick. Sweet. Oh yeah, we've also had a big explanation of how domain-driven design kind of works. I'm still learning a lot about domain-driven design myself, but I hope you learned a thing or two. So if you want to follow the progress along, if you're watching us on YouTube, then just subscribe to Just Code Cats on YouTube as well. If you like the content. If you are watching this on Twitch, I do a programming stream every Wednesday. So just follow my twitch.tv/JustRockCats channel. So you can join in every Wednesday, code with me, hang out, tell me that my code is bad, and have fun. So, thanks for watching, everybody, and see you guys next Wednesday.